News Bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Thursday, 21st March 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is News to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. A total of 19,656 students are registered to write the SEA examination today, which will feature a 3-hour and 20-minute exam. In a message to students issued yesterday, Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gasbidali said, the SEA is the start of a new journey. To allow quality assurance checks, schools are used to make sure test centers for the SEA will be closed ahead yesterday. The Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association tutor President Martin Lumpkin also said all systems are in place. He said, as far as we're aware, we haven't gotten any reports of any school not being able to have an examination tomorrow. So far, everything is prepared for the examination. Meanwhile, Miss World TNT Caribbean title holder Ashay Abrams wished students the best in today's essay examination, saying to students, do your best. She also asked parents not to put pressure on the young ones writing the exam. She was speaking during an interview with our sister station, Boom Champions 94.1 FM yesterday. Police have returned to the Valsane home with an excavator and a cadaver dog, where skeletal remains were found last week, but reportedly left empty-handed. A team of officers from the Northern Division and Homicide Bureau arrived at the home just after 9 a.m. yesterday. With the help from officials from the Tunapuna-Piako Regional Corporation, they began excavating areas in the backyard in the home off Booty Road in Valsane. A K-9 unit was also on the scene. On March 12, skeletal remains were found buried 1 foot or 30.5 centimeters deep in the backyard of the couple's home. The following day, the remains were examined at the Forensic Sciences Center in Federation Park. The skull had holes in it and injuries found about the skeleton. One of the injuries was said to be consistent with a gunshot wound. However, no spent shells, no handguns were found in the grave or at the scene. Some cancer patients in Trinidad and Tobago may be getting antiquated drugs, if any at all, to the public health systems, as shortages in some medicines are being reported due to the lack of funding and other issues. This disclosed yesterday by the head of the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society, Dr. Asante LeBlanc, who bashed growing inefficiencies for public health care and cancer care and non-cohesion with the Ministry of Health in an all-talk approach to policy on healthier lifestyles among the population. Dr. LeBlanc was speaking before the Joint Select Committee on Social Services and Public Administration, which convened a virtual public hearing on an inquiry into Trinidad and Tobago's response to the prevalence of non-communicable diseases with specific focus on diabetes, cardiological diseases, and cancer. Also revealed in the GSC, an estimated 15% of the country's population is living with diabetes. The information obtained from a national study done in 2011 by the International Diabetes Foundation is revealed by President of the Diabetes Association of TNT, Dr. Andrew Danu. And 3 of the NGOs appearing at the GSC yesterday have sounded a warning over fake medical practitioners offering dubious cures for NCDs. At the GSC, the reps of the Cancer Society, the Diabetes Association, and TNT's Heart Foundation urged the government to take action against self-proclaimed medical experts as they believe people's lives are being put at risk. The opposition is calling for what it describes as a level playing field for pharmaceutical companies in the country. Opposition Senator Wade Mark made the request while contributing to the debate in the Senate this week. Mark said a joint task force was set up to address unregistered pharmaceutical products. However, he said the move to deal with the situation seems to be leaning toward one particular side. He claims most of the pharmaceutical products coming into the country are controlled by a few companies, adding the situation should be reviewed. And Health Minister Terence Diasing is assuring the public interest is being protected with the seizure of several unregistered items. Minister Diasing in the Parliament listed several items which were seized by the task force set up in 2018. He explained the move is not about targeting any retailer or wholesaler, but protecting the population as the retailers were unregistered. In news of the region, Jamaica's opposition leader Mark Golding has labeled the walkout by government members of Parliament in Jamaica during his contribution to the budget debate early this week as a sad day for democracy in their country. The walkout was led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Tuesday after Golding criticized the appointment of the Prime Minister's wife, Juliet Holness, as Speaker of the House. And finally, head of Ethiopia's biggest commercial bank has told the BBC that customers who withdrew more money than was in their accounts based on a glitch cannot escape the law. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia customers rushed to take out money or transfer it to other accounts. It took several hours for the state-owned bank to freeze transactions. Those who do not return the money that is not theirs will be prosecuted, warned CBE President Abe Sanu. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
To the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the show this morning. Just our twins, that's right. We just heard from Super Roti. Yep, that's Super Paul. We'll hear from Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben. We've got Shane in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. Let's get straight into it and see what's happening. Traffic and weather-wise today, two things. It's the SEA exam. You'll do just fine, kids. You'll do just fine. And today is World Down Syndrome Day as well. So a lot of people will be seen with mixed socks. That happens all the time, every day in my life, mixed socks. I don't know where they disappear. The dryer has to have a cabinet. They grab one side of a sock and put it somewhere. But anyway, good morning, and that's what it is today. Let's see. It is 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 26 at Crown Point. Yesterday's maximum forecast temperature at Piarco was 34.2. Yesterday was a scorcher. Traffic-wise, I got nothing really to tell you about. You come into a crawl as you head northbound on the Solo by C-Ram Brothers, but after that, just volume into the interchange. Nothing really to tell you about. All right. Before I acknowledge all my hellos, let's say good morning going out to Super Roti.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Good Thursday morning, and good morning to the parents who are listening, getting their young ones ready and hugging them up, hopefully kissing them up and encouraging them just to do their best. And
Making
the
sure they have
young ones who
breakfast.
may be in the car this morning or in the house looking at the television or looking at a device, all the best to you. You've done the work already. It's just to go and relax and put in what you've worked on the paper. That's all it is. Have a great, successful examination.
You'll do just fine. You'll do just fine. Parents, they'll do just fine. You've nurtured them to this point. They know what they have to do. So just relax. Easier said than done, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Let's say good morning to all those on YouTube and on Facebook, like DJ Ray out in Tampa, Slick Money Grip Garcilia out in Valencia, Wendy and James, who's out in San Juan, Anthony Tinto in Ontario, Canada, Oliver Man Warren, good morning, Marcia Rock in Orlando, Sasha out in London, Ewart Rajpal, D. Pierre, CJ in New York, Maria Celia, Boy Bedesi, Wayne B. out in Calverton, Georgia, Riri out in West Palm Beach, Florida, Edwin Marshall, Carol Guevara, morning Carol, Rena Budu Jennings, Ewart Rajpal, John Cato. Good morning, all the best to the SEA students. Thank you, John. Nemesis, good morning. Carol Joseph, says, good morning, gentlemen, and the nation, all the students who are expected to... Why is Richard Ragoobarsingh calling me? What did you not do, Paul?
I don't know. I didn't do anything. We went and set up the feed, so... He cut you off, audience, he cut you off to answer the phone if you didn't know, Steve.
You know what Richard called me for? To tell me the gate in front of Mano's closed.
And you
You
answer the
believe
phone
that?
and
I put him on speaker. Was that Rich? I'm not hearing you, Rich. Oh, he hung up. So he wants me to call Manos to find out what time they open. Richard Ragoobarsingh, that's all I will say. Let's see. Nemesis, Isacha, Refresh Your Feet. Michael Robinson out in Yokohama, Japan. Josie Richardson, Gloria Gray, Carl M. Jack, Brenda Isaac, Richard Duku, Anthony Miguel, good morning from New York. Brian Marcel, good morning to you, Brian. Hope all is well. Dan Raj in Central Trinidad, good morning to you as well. All right. Let me call Manos for this man because he will just nag me until they open.
can you focus on what we're doing here?
Well, food is
Richard
very
is
important.
grown. Richard is grown though.
I call it Manos for him. DL, good morning. Trinidad Margot, good morning.
Let me see our call Manos. Okay, let's both wait until you finish.
I tell you, Ragoobarsingh. Ragoobarsingh, he says you could open the gate and go inside. Yes, so those students would be fine. CPT Singh, good morning. And let's say a special good morning to all the fire officers of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to you all. We had to curb a bushfire yesterday. And so good morning to, they have no captain in the fire services. Out of San Juan, I'll say good morning out of Mr. George, the man that was in charge. And good morning to all the fire officers. Thank you so much for your speedy response to that bushfire, which was scary. I'll tell you that much. Thank you, Paul, as well.
But you need to tell people what you're talking about, you know. You're talking in your
There was a bushfire by, so at 5:30 yesterday, I'll just paint the whole picture. At 5:30 yesterday afternoon, I got a call from SWAT security. They are a security personnel. And they were monitoring our cameras at one of our transmitter sites. And they said, Mr. Khan, we're seeing a lot of smoke. I said, smoke? I said, hang on. So I went into my phone and I pulled up the cameras. And I'm saying, oh, crap, there's a bushfire. I said, okay. She said, well, we're going to call the fire services right now and tell them exactly where it is. And I said, fine, no problem. But in the meantime, they also sent up security up there. And I called one of the guys that don't live too far. And he went up and he said, oh, God, Steve, it's bad. So the officers from San Juan came up, loaded with water. And of course, where we are, there's another site. So they had to break that lock to get inside. And I spoke to the guys at that site. And they said, yeah, go ahead, do what you have to do. I said, cool. But I've never seen Paul. You know, I catch my tail to like a barbecue. And what I actually saw an ember fly across the road, land in the bush, and caught fire. And within 1 minute, it was like 15 feet high. I said, whoa, I've never seen that before. But they came and they extinguished the fires. But, you know, I watched them and I said, you know, they're really under-resourced. They've always complained about it. But that's a whole different show. So thank you so much.
But their response, when I called yesterday, I have to tell you that their response is very professional. Because when I was alerted to the fire, I called their 9990, is it 1990?
990.
And fire officer Brown answered, and he asked where the fire was. I told him. He took my number, and then fire officer Diaz returned the call and informed that an appliance had been dispatched, and then I got a call an hour after, and they gave me an update.
Yeah, they came pretty fast. I called one of my buddies who works at the fire services, and he made a call and gave him directions and so on. And then he told me they're leaving now. They're coming from so and so, and I said, okay, cool. And as they came, they unraveled the hoses and started one time. Within 2 minutes, they were up and spreading water. Not even 2 minutes, I would say. But Brian, I've never seen fire just spread so quickly. So,
No.
but you know,
But it's a cautionary tale that the place is very dry.
Place is very dry.
People need to be careful in their homes, and also burning debris and throwing cigarettes out of cars. And when you're hiking, be careful about leaving broken bottles, because broken bottles and
plastic bottles too.
And plastic bottles heat up in the sun and can ignite bush and dried stuff around very, very easily. So that is the cautionary tale in the whole exercise yesterday, that people need to be very, very careful as they go about.
What Mr. George was also telling me, he said, especially in forested areas, there are a lot of termites that build their nest, and that is very difficult to extinguish. So I learned a lot about that. But they finished up. They were there for like over an hour. And but boy, I tell you, what I do at the sites is that, especially during the dry season, the grass around the compound, within our compound, I make sure that grass is short. So if there was a bushfire, there's nothing to to say that the bush is going to burn. If it just spreads. But we were lucky, nothing. 1 or 2 spots came into the compound, but that was quickly extinguished.
So 19,656 students are registered to write the essay examination.
What, 19,000 what?
656 students.
Wow.
It seems all systems are go. The Education Minister, Dr. Nian Gaspidoli, and the head of tutor, Martin Lumpkin, have both said that based on all reports, all systems are in place. They've also said that they have put systems in place to avoid a recurrence of the leak that occurred last year. While the students were in examination, the exam was leaked, but it didn't contaminate the examination process, because the students did not have access to the leaked examination papers as last year.
Yeah.
So we wish them all the best. And of course, when they come out, please love them up, take them for ice cream, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, there are a few businesses that have specials for SEA. SEA students after the fact, after they write that exam. So kudos to you guys.
Yesterday I chaired the Joint Select Committee on Social Services and Public Admin. We have an inquiry ongoing that's looking into the response of the healthcare system to cardiological disease, cancer, and diabetes. So we've had 3 town meetings before, and yesterday we had NGOs before us, the Cancer Society, the Diabetes Association through Dr. Danu, the Cancer Society through Dr. Asante Leblanc, who's such a effervescent personality, and also the TNT Heart Foundation. And they weren't really complimentary about the way the Ministry of Health interfaces with NGOs at all. And they're asking for better cohesion. I'm not surprised, better cohesion. I'm not surprised. And some startling revelations came out that, one, if I feel well, many cancer patients in Trinidad and Tobago will be getting antiquated drugs, if any at all. We received reports from the town hall meetings we had about the poor healthcare system in the country, despite the assertions and the Minister of Health very often when he comes onto the show about getting heart patients getting appointments a year and a half into the future when they have an immediate heart problems, and a young lady who had respiratory distress was told to come back in a couple of months. And you just said
months.
Months.
Yeah, you just said month.
The filing system being a mess. You're getting the wrong file. A woman said she got the file from a man, some man's file for her file. Sometimes you come back and they can't find your file in this day and age. How long are we waiting for the digitization of the system now, according to the Minister of Health? Remember during COVID, the digital cards are coming. Well, I don't know. Since during COVID, Minister
Action
has been
speaks
talking
louder
about
than
this digitization. Waste of time. And the runaround patients get when they're going for the CDAP drug. The fact that sometimes you don't even see a specialist, you don't see a cardiologist, and a nurse or somebody has given you your prescription. And when you get a prescription, if there's more than one drug, you may have to go to so many different CDAP centers to get these drugs while you're in distress. I mean, really.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
They also have sounded the warning,
You know,
which we have heard before, about fake people claiming to be medical practitioners. We know what we're talking about, right? The crazy one online and others claiming to be medical professional. That crazy one online, I interviewed him many, many years ago, and he insisted on me calling him a doctor. And I said, where did you get your medical degree? And he said, I don't need to go to school to get a medical degree. I'm a doctor. And I never called him a doctor. You know the crazy one I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Well, we have legal issues, so I don't want to call no name.
All right, you're a message.
You know the one I'm talking about.
I'm sure I do.
He's be online doing all kind of foolishness. And claiming to be able to cure stuff with this, that, and the other, putting people's lives in danger. Well, when the three NGOs spoke about that yesterday, and the fact that the law is in place, the Medical Act of Trinidad and Tobago, the Medical Board Act, prohibits anyone who has not graduated from a registered, accredited medical school and registered with the medical board from claiming, one, they're a doctor, and two, they can dispense or prescribe medication that can cure or manage ailments. That happening all the time. And the state / the government is doing nothing about it.
Yeah. I remember we spoke about this years ago, pre-COVID. And all they did was just shook their head.
And we advertising stuff on radio and TV.
And on TV.
Advertising this stuff. This will cure this will cure that. This will cure
newspapers and not calling names.
Manage your diabetes. Deal with impotence. We could cure cancer. All kind of foolishness, the thing. But the sad thing about it is when people are in health crisis and they're not feeling well, they grab onto all kind of foolishness because they're desperate for interventions.
Yeah. But Paul, there's another part to that. They are medical practitioners that realize what is going on with the family or the individual and suggest they do this and do that where they don't need to do it. And then they don't tell them a price. I remember when my dad got a mild stroke pre-COVID. My dad kind of crazy, yes. He drove himself to the medical facility, a private medical facility. He drove himself. And they said, well, you have to do this CAT scan. So he did the CAT scan. But during that time, my mom called a very, very close family friend who is a doctor. And he came in and they told they told us that he needs to do another CAT scan. This one is blurry. And that we have to pay for it. And our doctor friend looked at it and said, but nothing is wrong with this CAT scan. It is not blurry. Why do you want him to get another CAT scan? And that was the end of that conversation.
You know, but I've often wondered why the state hasn't intervened more forcefully in these people who are selling all kind of nonsense at the outlets.
Yeah.
And giving people false hope. In some cases, to the fact that they feel they're getting cured or they feel that the issue is being managed while it's getting worse. And then nobody's following up whether they die as a result of this. You understand? If the false hope is equivalent to some sort of negligence or negligent practice, I don't know why it has not been dealt with by, because everybody knew about what in one in particular.
You all know. We don't need to
I
call
think
it.
one of the things Dr. Asante LeBlanc also spoke about is the issue of and it's a situation where something that is a supplement should not be put as a cure. It's very often supplements are not medicine in the strict sense of the word, and they're putting all that. The other issue that she brought up, and this is something I raised in the Parliament with the Minister of Health, is the issue of this new habit that people feel is less dangerous than smoking itself, and that's vaping.
Yeah, you don't get
which has
nothing
led
about
to
that.
significant respiratory issues in North America, Australia, and the UK, and across the world. And it is being and because vaping is not in the Tobacco Act, it is being advertised. But you can't advertise tobacco, but because the word, I think, is not in the Tobacco Act, it is being advertised, and it is seen as the hip young thing for young people who walk around with the devices, and very often they are damaging. Dr. Blah blah also spoke about the fact, and I never realized, but I learned it yesterday, that the heat from cigarettes and marijuana and vaping machines damage the epithelial cells in your throat and sicken it, and can lead to cancer in some instances. And she likened the example of, if you walk around on hot surfaces all the time, or if you just walk around barefoot actually all the time on surfaces, don't the sole of your feet get thicker?
That's a great analogy.
The cells on the soles of your feet get thicker in response to the environment. But she said the heat from the vaping devices, and the heat from cigarettes, and the heat from marijuana also changes the cells in your throat, which may become cancerous. May become cancerous, not in all cases. You understand? And Janelle Salvery, that you see that question that you proffered there is something I'll never understand in Trinidad and Tobago, and leads to parts of the problem in our country. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Hi, good morning, guys, and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, it turns into a callus on your feet. Well, Dr. LeBlanc said the same thing happens when you're smoking. Note to some people on the screen here, the constant smoking and the heat from the cigarette and the heat from the vaping machine sickens the epithelial cells. I can't remember, I can never pronounce that word since school, in your throat and in your esophageal lining, which can become cancerous.
Yeah.
Janelle asked the question, why are doctors having private practice and working in the public healthcare system? Janelle, that is a question that has been asked for decades in this country.
Yep.
There is an inherent conflict of interest there. Inherent.
And Paul,
because people who work, some doctors, let me say, who work in public healthcare system, and we got this in the public town hall meetings here, are referring patients who come to them in public healthcare to their private practice. How is that not unethical?
And you pay cash. And you pay cash.
And it is something I brought up with Dr. Fuad Khan when he was the Minister of Health, and Minister Terence Dayal-Singh. And that situation seems like another untouchable one in this country.
Yeah. Doctors are still on the doctors, you know. They
powerful lobby.
Ragoobarsingh,
congratulations to you and your team.
Concerning
legal aid.
Okay.
Oh,
I saw that legal aid
enlighten us a little bit
in some intervention with some house in Toko.
Yeah, we always we always keep on top of different stories that happen, you know. sometimes things come to light during the from the media, and we would reach out to people and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that you have that sort of stuff that happens.
Yeah,
So
but going back to the JSC, and Dr. LeBlanc was very, very vocal about her disappointment with the way the Ministry of Health interfaces with the NGOs, and the great work the NGOs do, the Cancer Society, the Diabetes Association, TNT Heart Foundation, just tweeted a page before us yesterday. But I mean, they do really, really great work because I've done work with them before on interviews and stuff, and they, in terms of public awareness and screening and stuff like that, they do really, really amazing work. So
Where was this seminar, Paul?
it was a GSC at the Parliament.
Oh, okay.
it's a JLC. Yeah. No, why I called you, Steve, considering Manos.
Because you was hungry and you
While
wanted.
he was in here?
No, I wasn't sure how long they were going to take to open and whether I should bother to wait. So I
And
knew
then you
you
only
had.
open, you just pull the gate and go in.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. The
Yeah.
gate looked very locked. But some guy, as I was talking to you, some guy came and said, no, you could go in. And he opened the gate and he said, go in, go in. So I just said, okay, thank you. But
No, you
I
have
just
to-
wanted to know whether
And
to delay.
you passed right in front of the office
Mhm.
after Manos. And you didn't even consider that maybe I'd want a fry bacon cheese. I'd never say no to that.
Oh, I thought you usually only eat doubles.
Here we go again.
No. Fry bacon cheese. Let's say good morning, good night to a few people. Arno, good morning. John Cato, good morning. A special good morning to the ever so lovely Neela Sinath. Good morning to you. Nemesis, Evans David, Janelle Salvery, DL, Richard Duku, Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Beauty Culture, good morning. What is right?
Yeah, but the state needs to do better in terms of applying the laws that are in place for bona fide medical practitioners. There are too many people promising all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah. Wendy Ann James is asking,
And it's
I would like to
dangerous.
know when is the next forum?
It's in Arima on the 26th of April.
Okay.
Is it April? Yes, the 26th of April. It's in Arima at the Arima Community Center on the 26th of April. Where's the Arima Community Center, Richard?
And don't say in Arima.
It's on Anglican Street. Yeah, on Anglican Street. It's fairly close to Marriage West Side Supermarket. If people know where that is, they should. That's on King Street. Anglican Street, I believe, is that side street there. You go down. It's a pretty new building. I've been there when Penny and Cecilia and them did their, and Rudy did their play. They did their play upstairs in the Arima Community Center, which is, I assume, where you would be, because that's the area that has a kind of,
that's where it's scheduled. April 26th at the Arima Community Center. I mean, to be fair, at the 3 meetings, we had one at the Parliament building last year and one in San Fernando City Hall, and the last one in Chaguanas last week. There were 1 or 2 positive comments, some people in the audience. But by and large, 90% is the problems people are having with the healthcare service in the country.
Yeah. But
Let me bring up an example for you, Paul.
I've had good experiences with the healthcare in Trinidad and Tobago, but the public healthcare system I've had in my run-in.
Let me bring an example up. So I know someone whose father was not well. He was having problems to breathe. This is like 2-3 weeks ago. They rushed him to Mount Hope. They warded him. The next day, they discharged him in the morning. Got home, not feeling well. They took him back to Mount Hope. They warded him, and then they went on like 3-4 times. In my mind, I'm saying, why don't they ward this man and monitor this individual before they send him home? Got the news last week, Saturday, that he passed away.
There's a man who came to Chaguanas, a gentleman who spoke about his wife, who unfortunately passed away a couple of days later, who he took to, I can't remember which hospital it was. And because of the delays and the discharge and then the long wait to get a follow-up visit, I'm not saying that was because she may have had to die anyway, but he was very disturbed by the fact that he thought the service was very important. He himself is a heart case. He's the one who had been given, after getting heart surgery, an appointment for a year and a half, 18 months down the road to come back and check.
I have always wondered.
A year and a half? A year and a half for post-operative checkup?
Yeah, I saw a story recently where somebody was talking about that, and it was some story about some man in the newspaper, and I think it was at one of your forum, and he brought it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, that he brought it up that his next appointment was
2025.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who went and he was checking about his kidneys because he was getting kidney problems, and the X-ray for the kidney, or was it an MRI or an X-ray? I can't remember which one it was. They said that they found some blood in his urine, so they wanted to take an X-ray of the kidney. So, say they found the blood in the urine in January, the X-ray for the kidney was in September.
Could you
And I'm like,
imagine?
what?
Let me switch my mic off. I can't say what I want to say.
Could you
And I'm like,
imagine?
What? That makes no sense.
And then people just come on and talk about we're doing so great for the healthcare sector. And I mean, how does that make any sense? There's a woman who came to Port Spain. She was a tech in one of the Diego Martin health centers. She worked in the healthcare centers. She had an issue, and she couldn't get an appointment because the equipment wasn't working for a scan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's just like, well, I mean, beyond human beings. Remember, I spoke about that issue about dogs, and you can't get cataract surgery for dogs or pets.
So the machine is down.
The machine is not working. I found out it's $350,000 for the new machine. So I'm trying to
wait. Hold on. The machine is working now?
No, it's not working.
Right.
It's $350,000 for a new machine.
US.
And when the school comes under UE because it's a vet hospital, but it comes under UE. And so I have been, I'm trying to partner with UE to try and get sponsorship for it in terms of corporate Trinidad to try and sponsor the cost of that machine, because there's a queue of pet owners across Trinidad and Tobago waiting for a machine.
Mm-hmm. And is that
the same machine,
US dollars?
It's the same machines that they use on human beings, huh? Can you believe it? It's the same machines that they use for cataract surgery for human beings. But $350,000. So I'm trying
TT or US?
TT.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 50,000.
Trinidad and Tobago, contact Richard Ragoobarsingh, please.
I'm trying. I
myself.
I spoke to a couple of companies already, and I'm trying to assist.
I expect Mr. Minister Singh to be on talk shows this week doing damage control after that JC yesterday. The other strange news yesterday, in my opinion, and I'm trying to figure out what information they may have gotten that would have compelled the police Northern Division Homicide Bureau to co-op the services of the Tunapuna-Piaco Regional Corporation and return to Valsine and Butu Road to do further excavation with a canine unit. The information is that they left with nothing. And there was one of the news reports indicated that they may have been looking for another body. And there were questions about whether the skeletal remains they found were actually that of Hannah Mathura. I saw some people questioning whether it was her and whether or not she may have still been buried something. It's a very, very bizarre development,
Yeah, I was reading that yesterday, Paul, and in the newspapers yesterday, and post the show, and I could see that there was some bewilderment from the TTPS with the information that they got from the parents. that kind of scattered, I think, theories, and and there was some sort of reassessment of the case. And I was curious, like, what information so skewed the TTPS
To
that
go
they
back.
felt to one release, because that obviously some new information came to the front, and it threw them. The article didn't exactly say that, but like it threw them for a 6, and they had to reevaluate the entire case. And I was like, what the hell happened? What was it?
So they
And
went
then,
back to
you had an
excavators and
excavator going back to Buju Road
they block up the
yesterday.
road, excavator
Um,
rolling, and dig up the rest of some parts of the rest of the backyard with
Yeah,
a canine unit, with dogs sniffing for whatever. It's just a strange development.
very, very strange. Very strange. You're just curious about what information did they get that altered the trajectory, which had a lot of people confused,
Yeah.
which is why the DTPP would have said release them. Because as I was explaining yesterday, if you don't have a prima facie case, the evidence doesn't support it. You have to release.
Yeah, you have to release. And that's people, it's all well and good unless they have direct witness testimony from the children or the occupants of the house who may tell the police, well, I saw this and that 7 or 8 years ago. You understand? And they are a witness in the case. In that case, I could understand the DPP saying, well, you have a witness. Go ahead and lay charges. But if that didn't happen, and you can't identify a weapon or who may have perpetrated the act without information, evidence to support that, you have to let the people go. It's not just, oh, what I feel, so it looks so bad and be emotional about it. The law has a process. You more than anybody know that, Richard. You understand?
Yeah.
Law has a process and parameters within which it must operate. So,
Yeah.
and what is odd, beauty culture, you're right. I am alerted to a body by a young person. I go, excuse me, and dig up and find the body as advised by the young person.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
She wake up. Sorry, ma'am. I go and dig up and find the body as advised by the young person. I didn't carry her dog the first time. I didn't dig no other place. So a week after, whatever new information you have, seemingly clearly because there was some new information that you got that compelled you to go and dig again. And you know, from all reports, nothing further was found.
Hmm.
You know? I don't
One
know.
of my friends now telling me about Ricardo, Ricardo, just saying that he had the same situation. He carried his dad, I think, to a particular hospital, and the doctor said, come and see me privately and I'll deal with it.
Mm-hmm. It's wrong.
Come to me privately and I will deal with it.
It's wrong.
And you will deal with it in a prompter fashion.
And they say, yeah, no, go ahead. And they say, well, if you want to wait a year and a half, do that, but you could come at me and get next week.
Yeah. I remember there was a time, Paul, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. There was a time that the state was moving towards a medical card, like a health card, an insurance card, which that you could proffer at any hospital, private or public, to get treatment
and subsidize the private healthcare.
Yeah, I don't know how it was going to work. It was like I think they were going to channel the money from the insurance, the health charge, into like I'm speaking in general terms, like an insurance policy, and that would pay out to whatever if people went to private.
I can see so many systems with that. Issues with that.
But I remember there was something like that. I think it's a system that they were copying from Taiwan. I don't know why I have this information in the back of my head. Maybe I'm wrong in the preciseness of it, but there was something like that was supposed to be that you have a card and you could go wherever to get whatever kind of assistance that you need. Because it so bothers me in a country that has so much money that you have like that girl who died from cancer the other day, who was a public relations story that they had, I think, on TV6 or CMC3. And she died trying to raise funds to go to India to get treatment, because some people go to India to get treatment now. I know a guy, a friend of mine, who his son was in Trinidad and Tobago hospital for, a month or more. And eventually, to get the surgery done that he required, they had to go to India to get it. And they raised funds, and I think it was accomplished.
Thank God.
And I'm saying, why do citizens have to go through that in a country of 1.4 million people? And if it can't be done here, whatever happened to the children's fund? And, why is it that citizens have to wait and die? I don't understand it. I don't. I don't understand. Yeah, I do. You want me to start?
That would be nice. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll start with the Daily Express for today. And of course, it's Thursday, March 21st, just in case you did not know. I might as well use my glasses at this point. So cops return to Valsane Horror House. That's a sub-headliner, actually. Cops return to Valsane Horror House but leave empty-handed. The main headline is cancer danger. Doctor warns we are giving antiquated drugs, if at all, to patients who have to pay privately or die. Kind of akin to what I just said. SEA, I suppose what you were talking about earlier, too, Paul. SEA prayers, hands closed students of Grant Memorial Presbyterian School prayed during yesterday's faith and confidence service. So that's the main picture. On the back page of the Daily Express today, Red Force rally. Jan goes unbeaten 93, props up TNT's innings. Bowlers make late inroads. And St. Lucian Sears, to defend title. That's it for the front and the back of the Daily Express. The Newsday for today, front page. Fresh search at Valsane House is the headline they went with. One day after relatives of missing teen walk free. Too many lost. The main picture is of family members say farewell to 3 of 4 men murdered in Bristol Village, Mayaro last week. Buddy George, Marcus Buddy, and Jeremiah George at the funeral at Pioneer Savannah Days Adventist Church in Cuba. That was a bizarre story because they were basically executed. 4 men were executed. Was it 4 or 5?
I think it's 4.
Yeah. SA students asked to do their best. That's also on the front line, and there's a little indication of the Business Guardian do-it-yourself KFC digital kiosks, which people are talking about. But you meet those abroad all over where you go abroad now. And once you go into a fast food place, you meet those kiosks. But if you want to pay cash, you can go and pay cash, but you meet those kiosks. Back page, Red Force fight back late. Barbados Pride's holder grabs 4-4 on day 1. An ex-TTCB treasurer appeal hearing set for end of April. So that's the front and the back page of the Newsday. And the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. Hannah mystery deepens. That's the headline the Guardian went with. Cops return to families' Valsane home. Conduct second search for skeletal remains. Doubts over identity of first body found. So if that wasn't Hannah, who the hell was that? Who?
What did you just say in the headline?
Hannah's mystery deepens. Cops return to families' Valsane home. Conduct second search for skeletal remains. Doubts over identity of first body found.
What?
So that's what I'm saying. Who the hell was that first body? TTPS K9 members during the search at the Manthura family property at Butu Road, Valsane yesterday. So, I would be curious for somebody to answer me. And this is, Google has an Earth view now where you could look at various places around the world, wherever, and it gives you all kinds of camera angles and views.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to Trinidad and Tobago, you only see roofs. But in other countries, you actually see the facade of the building. I don't know why that is. I don't know if somebody in technology could answer that to me. I don't know why we only see roofs, but in other countries, bigger countries, you could actually see like a street view. The Trinidad and Tobago Guardian on the back page, stickmen fighting for semi-survival. And that's it for the front and back of the three dailies this morning.
All right, let's get the results of our morning poll from yesterday. Yesterday, on our morning poll, our question: do you agree with the Prime Minister that citizens are turning a blind eye to crime? That was our poll yesterday online. The votes are in. 55%, 55 said no. All right.
So my suggestion for a question this morning comes from the 3 NGOs who appeared before the GSC yesterday, saying that, and let me quote, they sounded an alarm over fake medical practitioners offering dubious cures for non-communicable diseases and insisted the state needs to do more. So the question this morning is, we're going to type it and say too.
Let's see. Do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the healthcare sector? That's our poll. Do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the healthcare sector? Yes or no?
That's including their own qualifications to treat people, and also false claims about what the supposed interventions will be. Come and drink this bush.
Yeah. So 222, call us right now. Tell us yes or no. 222-8255. North Americans, toll free. 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 318-1021. All right. That's WhatsApp 318-1021. All right. Do you think
you have a kind of condescension to herbal remedies that coming from here, Dr. Paul Richards?
Do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the healthcare sector? Got some votes in already. Wayne B. Ready, Rich? Here we go. Wayne B says yes. Boy Bedesi, hell yes. Arno, okay. Anthony Tinto says yes. Saliram Gamer, hello to you as well. Bobby on WhatsApp says yes. All right.
And then you're right, Anon. And then you hear the information displayed in this segment is not in the views of this media house. After you're broadcasting the crap.
Arno says yes. CPT Singh, no.
You're waiting for the digital healthcare card that the minister said was coming in COVID. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that digital healthcare card?
Yeah. Vaccination card.
That coming in 3 months?
Your roll eyes should be a meme, you know. A GIF.
I think I have enough memes.
His
roll eyes should be a GIF.
Let's head out to Sandy Grandi. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandi. My answer is no. In Cuba, they practice and they give people the both medication.
All right. Thank you.
I want to borrow Pastor Ian Brown wig right now.
Wayne Joseph from Ontario, Canada says yes. Richard Duku, yes, of course. Okay. All right. Finbar Collins says yes.
Battery water for cataract. And there's going, you know.
Do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the healthcare sector? That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's absolutely toll-free. WhatsApp us at 868-318-1021. And, of course, you can send your votes via the platforms on the various streaming platforms.
In an interview 9 years ago, one of them tell me, he says that he's Dr. X. I said, so where you got your medical degree? I don't need to go to school to call myself doctor.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you all this morning?
I'm fine, thank you, and your good self.
Very good. Still wrapped up under that P&M blanket. Very tight. Listen to me. Before I answer that question, whatever became of the Dr. Welch report, committee report? I think I heard Dr. Rowley made mention of it on some platform some time ago, you know. Something with the opposition not agreeing to something. Paul, could you
I don't know what you're referring to, my dear.
The Dr. Welch committee. The government had set up a committee with Dr. Welch.
To inquire into what? I don't know what you're talking about.
The whole healthcare system.
I'll find out for you.
To do what? You don't know about it?
I don't know everything in Zena.
Zena, 2 minutes again. I got to get some questions to the
Yes.
Yes.
And open the lines early. I want to talk about it.
All right. All right, Zena. Thanks. Good morning, caller.
She boss here.
Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Richard. The question to what you all have put in, I think is yes, because it may have something does occur, and remember some things will be kept underneath. So I agree to that question, Mr. Paul Richard.
All right.
What you was about, the answer is yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, this is DJ Ray. That should have been, yes. That question is yes. The government needs to do more.
There's already a law in place to deal with that, you know.
Lennon Robert says yes. Shanifa Ali says yes. Beauty Culture says yes. Mrs. R says yes to the poll. Evans David says no. CJ New York says yes. DL says yes to the poll. Alistair Hart says yes to the poll. Evans David says yes.
Cure your importance
What
now.
says the caller?
Yes, hello?
Yes, morning, caller.
Yes, morning. Yes, they should do more. But you're going to get a real problem with unions with that.
Unions.
All right, thank you. Von Drayton says yes. Do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the healthcare sector? That is our poll.
Yeah. 222-222-825. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app. You know what to do. If you're on any streaming platform, you can send your vote via the messaging platform on that platform. And of course, you can also WhatsApp us at 868-318-1021.
Anthony Miguel says yes. All right. Shuin Kerr, yes to the poll. Thank you.
Good morning to all those of you on the verge of heading into school to write that essay today. All the best. Relax and do your best.
Yeah. 19,656.
Relax. When they come out, they'll say, "I'll be better past that," you know. No, that's not the way.
No,
let's hug them and kiss them and say thank you for doing your best.
Yeah. Don't worry, parents. They'll do just fine. Relax. Most of you all probably didn't even sleep last night.
Not everyone will do just fine, eh? 33% do score over 30%.
Oh gosh, I wasn't going to.
Okay.
Royalty Forever says no to the poll.
So do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the healthcare sector.
Yeah. All right. That's our poll. It's going to stay up until tomorrow morning, where we give you the final results of this poll.
All right, I know it's 7 o'clock on the dot, so we're moving to the news shortly. So you can continue to vote in the interim, and we'll close off just after news. But I just a question I wanted to ask about: where does herbal medicine fit into all of this? Because herbal medicine has become a big mainstream thing globally, in terms of looking at the medicinal value of a lot of herbs and stuff, and what they can do to the chemistry of the human body.
Yeah.
So
I'll raise your question after the 7 o'clock news, but that is something I need to talk about in our beloved Twin Island Republic when it comes to cancer patients. And the folks at the St. James Infirmary do an amazing job. But I have to tell you, see, when it comes to the chemotherapy and the radiation, I'll give you my story after the 7 o'clock news. All right. All right. Any more votes? No. All right. On this SEA Day, the 21st day of March, World Down Syndrome Day as well. Let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. AV is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
A total of 19,656 students get ready to write the SEA exam today. An estimated 15% of TNT's population living with diabetes. The opposition is calling for what it describes as a level playing field for pharmaceutical companies. And Commercial Bank of Ethiopia head warns no escape for clients who profited from glitch. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sanjel-Bab. Good morning. A total of 19,656 students are registered to write the SEA exam, which will be a 3-hour and 20-minute exam this morning. In a message to students yesterday, Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly said SEA is the start of a new journey. To allow for quality assurance checks, schools which are used as test centers for the SEA examination closed a day ahead of exam day yesterday. Also, Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association President Martin Lumpkin said that all systems are in place. He said, as far as he was aware, they have not gotten any reports of any school not being able to have an examination today. So far, everything is prepared for the SEA examination. He added the tutor wishes all the students who are writing this high-stakes examination all the best, and they know that what they would have learned would impact their performance. Meantime, Miss World Caribbean title holder Ashe Abrahams wished students the best in today's SEA exam, saying to students, do your best. She also asked parents not to put pressure on the young ones writing the exam. She was speaking during an interview with sister station Boom Champions 94.1 FM on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Abraham said her schedule moving forward will be hectic in terms of honoring her various commitments. However, she said that she was excited to fulfill her obligations. She said the opportunity will be used to promote the diversity of Trinidad and Tobago. It is estimated 15% of the country's population is living with diabetes. More young people are living with type 2 diabetes. This information was obtained during a national study done in 2011 by the International Diabetes Federation. It was revealed by the president of the Diabetes Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Danu. He was at the time speaking during a sitting of the Joint Select Committee on Social Services and Public Administration. The committee inquired into Trinidad and Tobago's response to the prevalence of non-communicable diseases with specific focus on diabetes, cardiological diseases, and cancer.
Diabetes in Trinidad and Tobago has now grown to proportions where we have about 15% of our population living with diabetes. Now, these are estimates because the last time a national study was done was in 2011. So these estimates done by the International Diabetes Federation would have been what we are relying on. We have, of course, seen the increase in prevalence of diabetes and, of course, the impact of diabetes. And not just diabetes in older people as we would have thought previously, but we're now seeing type 2 diabetes more and more in younger people.
Meanwhile, manager of the Trinidad and Tobago Heart Foundation, Amit Maraj, revealed many persons with cardiovascular diseases have experienced long waiting times to get tests done through public hospitals. Maraj said this situation has resulted in some persons deciding to get treatment from private institutions.
Do notice, because of our proximity in working within the hospital and with the Ministry of Health, that there have been, for persons who do suffer with cardiovascular diseases, longer than optimal wait times to get their tests done through the hospitals and stuff like that, which has this delayed, and oftentimes they have to seek private care. And not many of them are able to facilitate that to maintain their health in terms of cardiovascular related diseases.
The opposition is calling for what it describes as a level playing field for pharmaceutical companies. Senator Wade Mark made the request while contributing to debate in the Senate this week. Mark said a joint task force was set up to address unregistered pharmaceutical products. However, he said the move to deal with the situation seems to be leaning towards one particular side. He claims most of the pharmaceutical products coming into the country are controlled by a few companies, adding this situation should be reviewed. And a continuation from our earlier story, do your best, don't put pressure on young ones. These are the words of advice sent by Miss World Caribbean title holder Asha Abrahams to parents of students who will write the SAA exam today. She was speaking during an interview with sister station Boom Champions 94.1 FM on Wednesday. Abrahams advised parents not to put immense pressure on children going into the exam. She also offered words of comfort, support, and encouragement to pupils, urging them to do their best.
I want them to know, parents, and if there are any young people listening, you have to just do your best. You can't do more than your best. You know, we put so much pressure, especially at that young age. What age is SEA? Like 12? 11, 12?
Yeah, 11, 12.
So imagine in your head, you thinking, my future depends on this one exam. But what if you just, for that day, I don't know what happened, you don't do your best. You know, all you could do is your best. That's just believe in yourself. Be patient. Parents, we want the best for them. We want them to be the most successful that they can be in.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Opposition leader Mark Golding has labeled the walkout by government members of parliament during his contribution to the budget debate this week as a sad day for their democracy. The walkout, which was led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Tuesday, occurred after Golding criticized the appointment of the Prime Minister's wife, Juliette Holness, as Speaker of the House.
When the former Speaker was forced to resign as a result of an Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, really does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The Speaker is intended to be independent and must act independently of the government of the day. That is the tradition.
Further afield, the head of Ethiopia's biggest commercial bank has told the BBC that customers who withdrew more money than was in their accounts because of a glitch cannot escape the law. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia customers rushed to take out money or transfer it to other accounts. It took several hours for the state-owned bank to freeze transactions. Those who do not return money that is not theirs will be prosecuted, warned CBE President Abe Sano. More in this report from WION.
This conference, the bank's president, Abe Sano, revealed that a significant portion of the withdrawal cash was accessed by students that led to long queues at campus ATMs. Multiple universities have urged students to return any excess funds they received. The bank has made reassurances that those who return the money will not face any legal consequence. In fact, in a statement shared on X, the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia acknowledged the service disruption but dismissed claims of a cyber attack.
Straight into weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, mostly sunny, slightly hazy and breezy at times, despite the chance of isolated showers favoring the northern windwards. Clear and cool night. There is a relatively mild concentration of Saharan dust present in the atmosphere. Sensitive persons are being advised to take the necessary precautions. You can expect temperature high of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco International Airport is 24 degrees Celsius and 26 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines at 7 o'clock, a total of 19,656 students get ready to write the SEA exam today. An estimated 15% of TNT's population living with diabetes. The opposition calls for what it describes as a level playing field for pharmaceutical companies, and Commercial Bank of Ethiopia head warns no escape for clients who profited from glitch. I'm Avril Sindhil-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. Of course, we would like to say all the best to all SEA students today. Just do your best and look out for more details on power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again. Come at 8 o'clock this morning for a news brief, and then again at 12 noon with Sir Charles for major news at noon. Quickly taking a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Your traffic is starting from Santa Rosa as you head towards Omera, Piarco, towards Orange Grove and Lighter, heading towards UE. Valsain, the Port of Spain, that's your sticky spot, all right? Eastern Main Road going through Dabadie. You got some heavier as you approach Trinidad City after Arima Old Road. It's going to take you across towards Tunapuna, Makoya, and then St. Augustine, various spots as you head towards Mova Junction. Going up Lady Young Road, no problems. Halfway down the saddle from Mocha towards a roundabout, you've got traffic. Nothing out of Diego Martin. Kelly Village, lighter than usual. Ibis Gardens towards the highway, you've got some traffic. Let's see, San Fernando, Kadang, there, Plenty Temple. Not much is going on. Your heavy spot this morning is Turuba Link Road. Yeah, that right? But heading north under Solo, got no problems. Rivulet Road's a bit busy. By Chase Village, you got some. And then, glad to say, just by Caroni is where you're going to pick up your traffic as you head towards the interchange. Okay? All right, so we got some more votes that came in. Let's see. Josie Richardson says yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. Herder Wells says yes. Joan Arnold, what is that? What did the doctor inform you? Okay. Let's see what WhatsApp got. Okay, Captain Ron, is that a no? Well, he's typing now. No. Figure that much. Captain Ron says no. All right. So our question this morning on our morning poll is going to stay up until tomorrow. Do you think the state should do more to stop unqualified persons from making false claims in the health care sector?
Right. Well, we had 31 people voting in the allotted time on our poll.
Just in and said yes.
Well,
and another yes.
Yeah. 32 then.
Okay.
So we had 32 people voting on the poll this morning, and of the 30, well, in the allotted time, and of the 32, 27 of you said yes, you do think that the state should do more, and the 5 of you said no. So 27 said yes, 5 of you said no. of course, to me, they're going to have to do a balancing act between herbal medicine practitioners or natural medicine practitioners and regular medical practitioners. Now, you could make sure that natural medicine practitioners have their own certified qualifications. Their qualifications that are certified.
Dr. LeBlanc, who made the comment, is she has her practice is both Eastern and Western medicine. You know, she's an herbalist, but she's a qualified herbalist.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Very often people
Make
mistake the
sure-
fact that it's not that you're stopping herbal approaches. You know, herbal approaches are valid, but the person must be qualified.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I know. I remember there was a time, and I don't know if it was ever acted upon, where they wanted UE to have an R&D that actually focused a lot on what the herbs of the Caribbean. I know some people say herbs, some say herbs, some don't pronounce the H. But the herbs of the Caribbean and what their possible health value could be, because that's an industry.
Yeah, it is. But as I said, it's not an herbal approach, which is akin to an Eastern approach to medicine as opposed to Western. It's not invalid, you know, but it must be regulated.
Mm-hmm. We don't want people to do more harm.
Of course. Carl Jack.
Yeah.
He said, you know what I had to do last evening, Carl? I so had a sugar craving, and I was determined not to break my no sugar mandate. Is I bought a pineapple, I put it in the blender, I peeled it, I put it in the blender, I crushed it up, and I strained it, and I drank that with the water. And I mixed it with the water, and I drank that. So it was a natural drink, you know, with natural sugars. As opposed
went your craving.
As opposed to
I mean, I generally don't eat sugar, but if I feel to eat it, I don't angst about it.
I have a sugar addiction, so
yeah,
I must have sugar in my coffee.
I don't
Must have
generally eat sugar or include sugar because I generally only drink water or black coffee.
We have
I don't drink anything else.
We have a receptionist who has a tuck shop of sugar products. So you said to pass to the reception and hope that Carissa will see her to tell you.
I'm not going to say we're not going to go
today. That and cheese balls and cheese sticks and caramel and kurma.
And let me tell you something, Paul. She knows caramel is my weakness. And yesterday I was passing and she was waving a caramel.
Yeah, she's catch you.
Of course I gave in.
She's catch you.
But I don't angst about it if I feel to have it. If I feel to have that tiramisu, I'm going to have that tiramisu.
So you could try that, Carl. Try doing. So I bought apples and stuff too, and I bought oranges and stuff. So I would squeeze the oranges, put water in it, and drink that. So there are ways you could get natural sugar without putting.
And the vitamin C, Paul. Today is also International Day of Forests, I should say.
And World Down Syndrome Day, International
Down Syndrome Day.
Yeah, today's World Down Syndrome Day.
And of course, coming up in about what time is SEA starting?
Socks or something like that. Not
yeah.
You mismatched socks.
What time is SEA starting? 8 o'clock?
I think it's 8 a.m.
8 a.m. for 3 hours and 20 minutes. 19,656 students will be writing that exam. You'll do fine. Don't worry.
Good morning, Zena. You can call now.
Yeah, let me call that doctor and brief her on our call to her.
Yeah. I know a lot of people drink a lot of sugary stuff. And hence our high rate of, I'm not saying that is it, but in terms of diet, which would include drink and food, that's why Trinidad and Tobago has a pretty high rate in terms
one
of
the
diabetes.
revelations yesterday from both Dr. LeBlanc, who Steve is trying to get on the phone now, and Dr. Danu, is you're seeing presentations of 6 and 7 year olds with diabetes. 6 and 7 year olds, you know.
That can't be that.
And Carl, what I do, I don't buy sweets and biscuits.
Born that way, that can't be diet, can it?
Well, the diabetes is also genetically thing, so you have a predisposition to it.
You have a predisposition.
And in those cases, it's also.
Yeah, my father had diabetes. My father actually went blind. My father went blind and stuff like that. So and then of course kidneys and organs have started to be affected because he still lived his life. In fact, I didn't even know he was diabetic until I went to the doctor with him I just accompanied him to the doctor. And at the end of the exam, it was just a regular exam. The doctor said, so how are you dealing with the diabetes? And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What you mean, how is he dealing with what? And he said, yeah, he's been diabetic for like 8 years. And I'm like, what?
And you ain't seen a lifestyle change at all, as well, you're in shock.
No, zero lifestyle change. And he still did not change it, you know. And I mean, he went, but I suppose his philosophy was, I intend to be happy, whatever consequence. I intend to live my life and enjoy my life.
I tried an approach where I would literally, if I drink, I would water down the juice, but then I just drink 3 cups of the watered down juice, which makes no sense. So now I'm
very good at that. I don't drink. I basically only drink water and black coffee. That's it.
Yeah.
If I drink a juice, it's unusual. It will be a interruption. That might be 1 in a month or 1 in 2 months.
The only sugar I intake for the day now is in my coffee in the morning. It's a little bit. I've reduced it significantly.
Yeah.
So I can't do the black coffee thing.
I cannot drink coffee once it has even an oomph of sugar in it, because sometimes you go to places and you say I wanted black, and I say any sugar or cream, I say no, just water and coffee. Or if it's brew, just a fresh brew. They're much better at it now, but previously some of them would still include a little sugar, and I tasted it and say no, this has sugar in it. They say, didn't want no sugar. I said no. I said I didn't want sugar. Could you make it over, please? It is that much that you could taste it. But that being said, if I feel to have my tiramisu, or if I feel to have my caramel, or if I feel to have my Snickers, I am going to have it.
It's so. If I have a Snickers, I'll get a headache for a couple hours.
Yeah. I don't mind Snickers. I don't mind Snickers, caramel. If I had my go-to snacks, if I'm having a snack, caramel, Snickers, cheesies.
Edwin Marshall is saying eat Coralie, and no.
Yeah, Coralie's very bitter though.
Well, I indirect Coralie. It's called Xena. That is bitter as Coralie, yeah. When she ready. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you just said. I was frozen for a second.
Well, Steve is gone to do whatever he's
You know what? It's supposed to be very good, because I also watch a lot of YouTube videos from some of the doctors. There's this Dr. Lee who wrote a book about the 150 foods you can eat. Because they say when you eat, you should treat food like medicine, in a sense.
Yeah, it is, because food is medicine.
Yeah, that what you intake is what's going to fuel your body.
It can make you healthy, it can make you very ill.
And he said there were several, they quote a lot of course, they do a lot of, they're very data-driven, and they talk about a lot of the fruits that you can eat that really can help prevent cancer and stuff like that. And pears are one of them.
Really?
Strangely enough, pears, apples, of course, and apples and pears have there's something in it called cholinogenic acid or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. And he said it's really very good at preventing tumor growth. So he said those, when you're looking at, and berries, it's always berries.
The berries, yeah, and the antioxidants.
Berries always feature.
The antioxidants are very good in
always features. Tomatoes, and especially when tomatoes are cooked.
Tomatoes are supposed to be good for prostate cancer, man.
Yeah, and it's especially when tomatoes are cooked.
Soy is not good for prostate cancer, man.
Who, soy?
Soy products, yes. Let me ask something. I mean, since he's been elected prime minister in Jamaica, I think he's been doing a pretty good job, Andrew Holness. But the opposition in Jamaica is right. The prime minister, I guess the parliament in Jamaica, I mean, not say the prime minister, because the parliamentary vote that takes place, appointed Juliet Holness, the wife of the prime minister, as the speaker of the House of Representatives. And I don't know why they would think that's a good idea.
Anytime you do that, you raise it.
Why would you think that's a good idea? And although, yes, even in our situation, the House Speaker and the President of the Senate are basically appointed by the Parliament, and the government is going to have the majority to install them, right? But you will put your wife as the House Speaker?
Yeah. I just heard it. Yeah. And that's an independent position.
It's supposed to operate as an independent position.
It's supposed to be independent, yes.
So it's also already mired in the fact that the government will get their way in terms of who they want as the House Speaker, right? You put your wife.
Let's look at that carefully.
They're not divorced.
Let's look at it carefully. There are times that spouses will disagree. So once you know that's happening, it could probably work in the favor of the opposition.
You know, you always talk about the optics of it, not so?
No, the optics are terrible.
I don't know what got into Andrew Hollis. What would get into you to put your wife as the House Speaker?
Yeah, but poor Patrick Manning got a lot of heat for putting Hazel Manning.
But she was a minister, and yes, he did. But you go one step further and put her as the House Speaker.
Yeah, no, House Speaker is that's an absolutely, from an optics point of view, that is a ridiculous choice.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, on the line, I have Dr. LeBlanc, Dr. Santi LeBlanc. She's the chairperson of the Cancer Society. Dr. LeBlanc, good morning and welcome to the Power Breakfast Show.
Good morning, and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, we have Richard Ragoobarsingh and Dr. Paul Richards. We call him Super Paul.
Dr. LeBlanc, good morning. I told you you'd get in trouble for your comments yesterday.
Yes, Dr. Richard, you sure were right.
I said you are going to, and not that I disagree with anything that you said, to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
but I mean,
I think I understand, but to me it is something, and I want it to be understood that this is not a political attack. This is not an attack on the government, because this has been going on with varying governments, right? But the reality is that this is a situation worldwide, and this is the burden of NCD. And what I wanted to bring to the forefront was that we can do better if we work better on the lifestyle modification, because then we can prevent the burden on society for treatment of these diseases. That is the only way societies like us will be able to come out of this with a positive look. You understand what I mean? There are deficiencies in the system. We understand that there's no money. We understand that. But I think my statements, as you said, I'm spirited, and but I don't want this to be a political ball game. I want this to be something where we can come to the table, have a discussion, and see what can be done.
But Dr. LeBlanc, I mean, I think in a modern day society, everybody knows that is important or should know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the Ministry of Health does indicate certain lifestyle changes that you need to make with regard to movement, exercise, what you eat, how what you eat matters, what you drink matters, because there's now a lot of information with regard to alcohol, and some of the studies coming out now that say no alcohol, there is no amount of alcohol that's good for you. They were previously saying that you could have 2 glasses of wine, etc., etc. Now there's a trend saying that none, absolutely none. So how do you motivate a public? Because motivation doesn't work, apparently. So is it that the state has to get more draconian in terms of how it deals with its citizens and the food, the diversity of food that's available? Because how do you get people to elect to make those healthy choices when they're not doing it?
Well, it's multifaceted, because what we need to do is to start from very young. We have to include this in our education system. We have to also look at what we're bringing in. And as Dr. Richards will tell you, I spoke about why are we not doing more local farming? We have to look at what we're importing, and we have to be real about it. We all have to come together. While you say you know what you're supposed to eat and drink, and you know you're supposed to exercise, then why may you not do it? And we have to see the psychology of that. So it's deep-seated, and we have to make the change. And to make the change, we have to start from very young. We have to educate from very young. It's definitely needed. And this is not only the government's responsibility. This is our responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, part of it has to be, and you're right, it should be multifaceted, but part of it has to be the socioeconomic, how should I put it? the socioeconomic picture of life, everyday life in Trinidad and Tobago, contemporary life in Trinidad and Tobago. When you have parents working, and sometimes one parent might be doing more than one job, in terms of meeting the standard of life, of quality of life for the family. Sometimes it's just convenient to get the pizza. Sometimes it's convenient to get the KFC or the Royal Castle because life.
But you use the word sometimes, so it didn't have to be all the time.
Well, it shouldn't have to be all the time, but it seems
Right,
as if some
and
people
that
make
is
that
our
as
problem.
yeah.
Exactly, and that is the problem, and that is where we have a problem because it can't be all the time. It can be a one-off, it can be a sometime, but it's about moderation. It's about looking at what you put into your body. You can't just do what you want. I mean, we have a free healthcare system, and we can't burden it just like that. I mean, and expect it to work endlessly. And Dr. Richards, you will know, we have no money, right? So we have to make differences, and individually the public has to come together and understand. We have to make the changes. We're being told, we're being educated. Now each household has to make that change. Each household has to make that decision. But we also in society have to make it a little easier for the people who are in a lower socioeconomic status. Because
I'm glad you mentioned that, Dr. LeBlanc, because
foods, you can't make healthy foods very expensive, because then it's a catch-22. So this is where everyone has to come to the table, and we have to find a way to make this work for us.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the issues we need to grapple with is the fact, and you raised it yesterday, is an seeming inability to coordinate the efforts of many well-meaning elements, including the Ministry of Health, which is doing its part. To be fair, the minister stepped out on a limb last week or week before,
very well,
and spoke about the fast food giant, which has not been done before. The minister has a MOVE program on, but the coordination between the work that NGOs like yourself and the Diabetes Association and stuff is doing, and the education sector, and the state's, to me, responsibility, as has been done in other jurisdictions, to ensure that labeling takes place with calorie counts, to increase the in some instances, in some jurisdictions, the sugar tax, as they call it, to increase the tax on tobacco, is all elements that need to work in unison.
And that is what we're calling for. So yesterday at that committee, I mean, people took away that I said that we have antiquated drugs and you're going to die. That's not the message. The message is we're trying a very good job at treating cancer. We do have inefficiencies, we do have gaps, but compared to the rest of the world, we're not that far behind. However, that being said, we won't have to have so many gaps, inefficiencies, and burdens if we do what you say. If we start from prevention and improving our lifestyle. If we look at prevention these are lifestyle diseases, these are NCDs, are lifestyle diseases. And this is where we're calling on governments and everybody who can help to come together and let's make a difference. We have to do it. Because the people have been educated and so, but you have to help them. And that's what we're asking for.
But a little thing, like even including a little thing like even including the calorie count at restaurants, double stands, wherever you have being sold, it's not even it's not even something that we can accomplish.
And that's my point. So these are things that we can do, and if we do that and we're consistent with that, and we do these little steps that have huge positive impact on the population in terms of lifestyle, then Dr. Richards and I will not have to be in a meeting talking about, inavailability of drugs, taking long treatment time, inefficiency of a system. And because it's not an attack on anyone. This is about what is happening and how we can fix it or try to fix it. And this is where prevention and really trying to do these little things can make a huge difference on the end result and the end point. Not to mention increased screenings, increased education. We cannot stop talking. We have to continue. We have
But
to
Dr. LeBlanc, you live in a society called Trinidad and Tobago, where let's look at colonoscopies, for example. They are saying from age 45, especially for men of color and women of color in the United States. It's covered by your medical insurance generally in the United States. In Trinidad and Tobago, it's generally not covered.
Well,
So
I'm glad you brought this up.
You have to fork out the money. And people can't.
Right,
It's 10,000, 8,000.
Well, it's about 5,000, but
Well, I suppose it's free in the public health sector, but a lot of people, well, when I last checked, it was 8,000 and 10,000. 10,000 if you're going completely under.
Okay, right. But the thing is, that's what we speak to insurance companies about as well. Let us they have it as a preventative service. It is a preventative screening test. So why is it not covered? You understand? So these are discussions we have to, it's no longer, oh, well, they need profit or this. If you know, but let us be real and let us help one another. I mean, it seems very fairy tale-ish, but at some point we have to stop because we're seeing NCDs taking the lives of not only the older generation, but the younger generation.
But it's not a fairy tale, though, because at the end of the day, there's the burden of the cost of it on the state, and there's the burden in the quality of life on the citizens. There's a quality of life issue also.
So when Dr. Richards and everybody, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm picking on you, but when you go to Parliament and you all have your debates, you know, it's time for us to be real. It's not about because Minister Diasing is working extremely hard and he's trying. I give him that very much so. The Ministry of Health is trying. But we also have to get other things done. And this is with the other ministries coming in, us having collaboration and us making those small changes because it's a huge burden. We're seeing the huge burden on society for these NCDs and the endpoint in the hospitals.
Now, into the public disclosure, you are a practitioner and trained in both Eastern and Western medical interventions, and so there was no bashing of the herbal approaches if they are regulated and dispensed by trained persons. What also came up in the JSC yesterday is the issue of unqualified persons making dubious claims, making claims that they cannot substantiate, and in a general sense, and these are my words, putting people's lives at risk. Why do you think this has not been better regulated?
Why I think it should be regulated?
Why has it not been better regulated? Because there are laws in place already about that.
I don't know. I think I mean because there's no real established herbal board. You understand? So there's no it's to figure out who enacts the Medical Board Act and who will go and monitor and see who is not a doctor but is posing as a doctor and then how is that brought up? Is it a criminal charge or how is it dealt with? And so I would have to see what the legislation says exactly and to understand it. But I mean, these are things that have to be looked at. Because if you tell a patient now, oh, well, I can cure you and you're not a doctor and you're giving them herbal medicine and you tell them you can cure them. And then when things go south, then what happens? You understand? So, and there's no accountability, there's no responsibility. And so we now have to figure out how that can be affected and monitored.
One of the issues I understand is a challenge is, and you're a medical person, so you're a scientist, is the issue of in the criminal arena. If one is to imagine it should be criminalized or it should be applied as a crime. Is even if someone is saying they can cure something and someone goes to them and the medical board or the state decides we're going to prosecute this, it's very difficult to prove causality because there may be other factors that may have been involved in that person's demise. And I think that is something that has been brought up before in terms of prosecuting these situations. So I guess the approach should be to take a look at the legislation and tighten it in the context of what is allowed to be advertised as cures or supplements or some other type of intervention as opposed to a medical intervention.
Exactly, and that needs to be curtailed, and if it happens, it needs to be stopped. And then, because at the end of the day, herbal medicine is traditional medicine. It's a tradition, and it's something that has its place in a complementary and integrative fashion in medical healing, right, and in medical care. But you can't just make medical claims, false claims, and then it's almost like you're selling snake oil. You understand? And that is in itself the danger. And so we have to clamp down and monitor. And if you make advertisements, and you make these false claims, it has to be stopped, and you have to be told that it needs to be stopped, and you need to be, something has to be done from a public standpoint.
Well, someone needs to be monitoring and regulating and taking action, and I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, the issues you also brought up is the issue of
the Medical Board Act.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The issues that you brought up is the issue of vaping, and I am very passionate about this also because it seems that in the US and the UK they've had so many studies done about the negative effects of vaping and the fact that people feel vaping as an alternative to smoking in some people's minds is better. And your thoughts on that, please?
Absolutely not true, and you heard me yesterday. We need to clamp down on the vaping industry, because the vaping industry is becoming it's an epidemic already. It's dangerous. It's sometimes even more dangerous than cigarette smoking, and it's attacking our youth. And it's not only that the vaping can cause cancer, can damage your lungs, and it can even cause death, but it also can make you more addicted now to nicotine and other drugs. So our youth are being affected. So now we have a bigger problem. We're telling you we need to save the lives of the younger generation, but now we're affecting the youth. And we're allowing it to happen. It's being touted as something safe, and it's not safe at all. It's being touted, we do use that in controlled settings for smoking cessation programs, but under the guidance of a certified medical doctor. It can't be touted as these things, and we have to put a stop on it. Every corner wants to have a vape shop. Every ad on the radio, and you're making vaping look like sexy and healthy. And no, that's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong, and we need to stop it. And we need to look at the Tobacco Control Act and adjust it, and include the ends and the vaping so that we can control it. We cannot let that get out of hand. Well, it's already out of hand. We have to pull it back in the stable, but we need to stop it because it's a big, big problem.
And I'm glad you meant, because I actually saw a schoolboy in school uniform with a vaping pipe.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
It's more insidious than a cigarette, because people will react a particular way to a cigarette. You understand? But a vaping pipe looks almost innocuous in your hand. Looks like a device. Some people don't know what it is. And younger people are smoking. And I saw an article that suggests, I don't know if it's true, that a lot of the origin of the vaping or the funding of vaping's popularity in the world may have come at some of the cigarette companies globally.
Yes, it is a manipulative market on behalf of the tobacco industry. And that is why Whitco made their statement as well, that they are going to go into vaping. But what are we allowing? Why are we allowing that? How can we knowingly allow that? And this is where, again, not an attack. This is where we're saying, can we do something about it? Let's get it done. Let's prevent this, because it's now going to be a bigger burden on society.
But it's interesting. I brought this up in Parliament already, this vaping thing, and the response was,
yeah, so good.
But you can't give up. We have to look at it, because it is a serious problem.
And can you explain to people, because you did it very well yesterday. You did it very well yesterday, explaining the dangers of vaping, and I hope you can do it again this morning for us.
Yes, I can. So with vaping, what happens is that the cartridges actually can contain up to the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. But not only that, you have other chemicals involved, because they make it smell nice, taste nice, all of those things. You have a generator that has a high power. So when you put all of those together, it's literally a ticking time bomb. And so it increases addiction to other drugs and to nicotine itself, to cigarette smoking. It really damages the lung. You can get popcorn lung, and it increases your risk of cancer as well. Not only lung cancer, but other cancers, because of the other chemicals as well. So this is not, it's not a joke. It's a real problem. The heat alone that is generated starts to make your epithelium or your lining of your respiratory tract change. When we have change of our cells, of our lining over time, then you affect the programmed apoptosis or cell death time, and then you can turn on an oncogene, and anything can happen. So that's a risk for cancer. So we have to acknowledge that it is not safe. It's not a safe practice, and we have to stop it because our youth are using it like if it's nothing.
It's a sexy thing for young people.
We have to stop it.
It's actually a sexy thing for young people. You have a vaping. They have 2 and 3 vaping pipes.
Exactly.
Do you think we've made progress in curtailing cigarette smoking?
I think we made some progress with people are more educated and they really said, okay, maybe cigarette smoking is bad. But then vaping came out and said, oh, well, we're a safer practice, so don't smoke, vape. And that was the problem. So I think we're making progress where you don't smoke indoors, where you can have, the one cigarette dispenser in the supermarket. I think we're making progress. Don't get me wrong. Slow steps, but we're making progress. But we need to do more. And
what about weed? Because many times I speak to friends and I say, stop smoking. It's not good for you. 50%, are going to get cancer. That's 1 in every 2 persons. And they'll tell me, oh, well, I don't really smoke cigarettes so much. I smoke weed. So I say, well,
weed,
okay. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, prolonged use of marijuana is not healthy either. So the reality is you should not smoke excessive amounts of marijuana. It will alter your brain chemistry. It hits your addiction centers. So it's nothing in excess is good for you. And then the smoking aspect of it is an issue as well. So you try to educate. I mean, people see marijuana as medicinal sometimes because we do have medicinal marijuana. Especially even for cancer patients, sometimes we use medicinal. You can use medicinal marijuana for pain control and other symptom control. But that doesn't mean you must, smoke weed whole day, every day. You know what I mean? So it has to be done in a supervised manner, and we should educate the public so they know that when they're smoking weed, what the consequences can be.
What has been the general feedback to the comments yesterday from your perspective? I know your phone must have been ringing off the hook. I saw the front page of the Express today, and I knew that they would choose. The media generally has to sell papers, and I'm not saying they're being irresponsible, but they choose what they feel will gather the most attention. Do you think the comments have been fairly responded to?
I made the statement. There's no doubt I made the statement, but I want to make it very clear. We do have current treatments for cancer in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Not everything. It's not antiquated, and that we're doing only old drugs, but we do have inefficiencies in the system, and that's because of the heavy burden. And so it's not saying that there's an attack and nobody wants to do anything. I'm saying that this NCD problem, this is the end result, that we're having longer lag times, we're having issues acquiring drugs because of lack of funding. We can't get funding because we're strapped. We've gone through a pandemic that has used up a lot of funding as well. And the minister and the Ministry of Health, they're trying their best, but we ourselves, the public, have to do our part with lifestyle modification. Now, I understand what the newspapers want to do, and I understand what the media wants to do, but I do ask that it's not seen as a public attack on the Ministry of Health or the government, because we're an NGO, and in no means are we attacking. We're here to help, and we're the advocates and the voice for the people. We're not attacking. What we would like to do, and this is what I think the Joint Select Committee is about, and everything in Parliament, so that we can come to some kind of decision and we can try and make a difference for the population. This should not be an attack on Minister Dialsingh, on the Ministry of Health, or the government on the whole, because this is not only a PNM problem. This is a Trinidad and Tobago problem, and this is a worldwide problem. And we have to come together. We have to stop playing games, and we have to stop trying to sell newspapers, dare I say, and really see the meat of the matter. Now, I've opened up conversation, but I don't want it to be taken negatively. I don't want this to be an attack on the minister. I want this to be a conversation. Yeah? That's what I really feel.
If you could change 3 laws now that you think would make a significant difference in combating NCDs and managing healthcare better, what would they be?
Dr. Richard, you're not easy, you know.
He's been told.
It would be definitely to let us amend the Tobacco Control Act so that we can include vaping and have better control on that. increasing the tax, the sugar tax, and this tobacco tax, and also front label packaging, front package labeling, so that we can see what you're eating. You're told you're having too much sugar. This is how much sugar is in there. This is how much salt is in there, so that we can help the public be better educated and make better choices when it comes to selecting food items.
I will advise you, please don't curtail your ebullience and your enthusiasm. The reason for the JSC is just that. It's to gather frank information on issues so that we can make recommendations to make the system better. And I know sometimes, of course, the media does what the media does. I'm not saying they're doing a bad thing. The media is fulfilling its mandate and in covering, and we appreciate the coverage that the media has given the JSC and continues to give the JSC. And we appreciate your contribution, Dr. LeBlanc, and Dr. Danu's contribution, and Mr. Maharaj's at the TNT Heart Foundation's contribution. Would you be willing to take some calls, Dr. LeBlanc?
Yes, Dr. Singh.
All right.
I'm putting you in trouble. Yes,
8255 North Americans, 866-525-1099. And Dr. Richards, it just popped into my head here. What is the latest with the oncology center in Mount Hope?
I don't have no information on that.
It is not scrapped.
I don't
Is it scrapped?
I think that's scrapped. Yeah. I know they have some. I know. Is it Southern Medical has some really good new machines that they would have gotten in the last 2 years or so, like the stereotatic radiation and stuff like that. But I think that was scrapped. I think they voted a lot of the funding to St. James.
Oh, is St. James adequate, Dr. LeBlanc, for the amount of cancer patients that they see on a daily basis?
Is it adequate?
Do they have enough drugs? People spend the entire day there.
Right. So it varies, the treatment lag times vary, and, it's very up and down. And don't get me wrong, we have very caring professionals. We have very good oncologists and support staff there. But again, this is the thing, the burden of the NCD on the system. And that is our problem, the burden. So will it ever be enough? Because when we look, we speak of the Caribbean and, we're in the developing world and all of that. But the reality is the first world is also suffering. We may not hear about it, but they're also suffering when it comes to NCD. That's why the WHO is saying it is a burden worldwide. But that being said, each country, each region, how can we make a change and how can we make a difference? And this is through prevention. Because if not, we'll always have that burden. I will never be able to tell you that, no, we don't have a burden. And then and is there an affordable cancer insurance fund? Can we do that? Can people afford that? So to help ease the burden on the public sector, can we do that? So there are a lot of discussions that need to be had. There's a lot of, and not just talking empty discussions, but, active discussions and where can we go and how can we make a difference?
Okay. All right. So we do have a call coming through. So let's grab it. Good morning. Good morning, caller.
Just want to ask the doctor if she ever recalled the PNM government bringing Dr. Welch forming a committee to give a report on health. That was laid in Parliament, and the opposition never put people on the joint select to debate it. But if she can say exactly, if she remembers something like that happening, to better the health system. Thank you.
All right.
I cannot, well, Dr. LeBlanc, you can answer that question. I just cannot remember that Dr. Welch report.
I can't remember that.
I remember Gladys Dafour would have led a report on the health sector.
Right. The government put the Welch report in Parliament for adjudication by the JSC, or whether or not the country wants to continue with doctors being on the government payroll but spending time in their private practice.
I didn't remember that at all.
The committee for review, Dr. Winston Welch, Dr. Adish Sujasingh Etal.
Okay. I don't remember that
at all. Yeah, I can't remember.
Can't recall either.
Zina have a real good memory. Doctor,
You
what
know,
about, interestingly, we're talking health and stuff, and CNN has a thing that just popped up on my phone. Concerning the USDA looking at the issue of fruits and stuff, and so many fruits and vegetables like spinach and kale and stuff, so many of them have pesticides. And they were saying that a lot of the approximately 95% of non-organic strawberries, leafy greens such as spinach and kale, collard and mustard greens, grapes, peaches, and pears tested by the United States government contain detectable levels of pesticides. Nectarines,
Right.
apples, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans rounded out the list of the 12 most contaminated samples of produce. It's dubbed the Dirty Dozen. And then they have the ones that are generally clean, and those include the avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, mangoes, etc. And and how do you deal with stuff like that? Because you have consumers going into supermarkets and even markets across Trinidad and Tobago, and you're going to be buying stuff that you think is healthy, and it's going to have detectable levels of pesticides because we are not as sophisticated as the US market in testing for these sorts of things. So we have to go on their data. And is it that we really have to scrub fruits even when we buy them, peel them and scrub them, or scrub them vigorously? What would you suggest?
Well, I suggest extreme washing, but I also suggest that we eat fruits that belong to our region and are in season. So that's definitely what I suggest. I mean, I don't think that we can't have Kariri or our food and drug unit test pesticides, but we do have to wash our fruits and our vegetables with the thought that it may have pesticides on it. And this is why we tell you, look at your veggies, know your farmers, know what they're doing, understand what they're putting on the veggies. But this is all also, we have to look at, Dr. Richard, I was just thinking about it. I should have mentioned this as well, where vaping actually impacts climate change because of the waste, right? And this is a big problem. Climate change impacts everything we're talking about. Because then how do we protect the veggies when we're growing them? How do we grow them organically? And this is what happens. Then they use pesticides because they want to send it here, send it there. And so it's a catch-22. So this is where the world leaders have to come together and figure out, because climate change is huge and it has a huge impact all around.
You want to get Donald Trump vexed now? Dr. LeBlanc, thank you for being with us this morning. Appreciate your time today and also yesterday. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
She's Dr. LeBlanc is a good guest to have on sometimes from time to time.
From
Because,
time to time.
those
Yes, I
issues of
agree.
health are always interesting to people generally. And of course, as you know, some of our listeners are older, so they would probably want the information too. You're going on your own rabbit hole there. I don't drag me with that. I just say in general.
Right.
But I mean, health is everybody's business, whether you're 1 or 100. It's everybody's business in terms of, well, 1 year old, it's really the parents' business. But but how do you eat healthier when healthy food is generally more expensive? It's generally more expensive. It's very expensive to eat healthily, yeah?
It is.
Unless you're living in, I guess, rural Trinidad and you're getting mangoes all over the place or whatever fruit easily and quickly. But generally, by the time you reach into urban areas, there's a market.
And it's a condition of capitalism also, because when you walk into the supermarket, they're not putting the healthy stuff in front of you. Excuse me. I mean, the fast stuff is the convenient stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the number of fast food outlets all over the place. They all over. You understand? They're much more conveniently located. It's easy to walk and pick up something when you work all day and you're tired. You have to make living a priority. Yeah. So we all have a great day. Be safe. And
you too, Paul. You have a good day too.
Have a good day, Paul.
All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, have a fantastic day. Just reminding you, of course, that theater is on April 13th and 14th. We are less than a month away from the next showing of Love is a Walk. It is a play you should not miss. Excellent comments, and we're going to start advertising shortly. that what people have said. There are so many comments that are so positive about this play. We'll have to do about 3 ads just with comments alone. I'm telling you, it is that positive. So anyway, I'll let you know when tickets are on sale. They should be on sale from next week, but I'll keep you posted. But have a fantastic day. And of course, Wassa, Mendoza Street, Mount Hope, there is a busted pipe of some sort that is spraying against somebody's wall in Mendoza Street in Mount Hope. I know, Steve, I sent you the information and you found it.
Yeah, I sent it to Wassa already.
Yeah, but I know I still like to shout out to Wassa and say, Wassa! Yeah, I know how I do that.
Yeah.
So,
a long time.
long time. Anyway, the weekend begins tonight, people, at the second after midnight, and don't you forget it. You should put a smile on your face. Have a fantastic one, and we'll speak to you back in tomorrow morning, which will be Friday.
And let us say happy birthday to my good friend Richie Rich.
Who's
Dr.
that?
George Hanumansingh.
Oh, is it George's birthday?
Yeah,
Happy
he's
birthday,
the old man
George.
today. He's the old man.
Happy birthday.
So, you know, my liver has just decided to leave and walk out the door for the weekend. He wants to have a lime on Saturday. So my liver just walked out the door.
Okay, cool. That should be fun.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, George. I had to go by George.
Designated driver. You got to go by George?
Go by George? Lord.
Oh, you need to do that. Check your eyes there, bro.
Yep.
Because Dr. George Hanumansingh is an ophthalmologist.
Yep. All right, so have a great one. Speak to you, bro.